Morning. Good morning. I'm Leon Threatt, and you're watching the Threatt Report. We're having a little technical issues, but that's okay. We're here on this Friday, the 13th of November, and Jesus is still Lord. He reigns over the heavens. He reigns here in the earth. You're watching the Threatt Report, Leon Threatt. Remember, our commitment is to communicate biblical worldviews about the matters facing our nation, certainly facing us here in North Carolina and the church as well. And my commitment is to speak the truth in love. And the word says you will know the truth, and the truth shall set and make you free. And so just be encouraged. No matter what you're facing, be encouraged. We were summoned into the earth for such a time as this, and we're not going to give up. We're not going to faint. Stay the course. Stay the course. I'm not going to be with you long today. I have some personal matters that I'm working through, and my heart's kind of heavy. Had a very traumatic family matter to unfold in the last days. And certainly yesterday, a nephew passed away, and it is close to my heart today. So I won't spend a lot of time, but do keep the Threatt family, the Simpson family in prayer. Just keep us in prayer, and certainly keep me and anything connected to me in prayer for strength, for courage, for God's will to continue to prevail in our lives. I'm committed to the Lord and everything that He has assigned me, and prayerfully you are as well committed. I want to just mention a few things in our program today. The importance of continuing to pray about our national and state elections. I'm going to give you a couple of references of some important articles that you can go and find good information on the process in which we presently see ourselves as a nation. So continue to pray. Pray that the truth will come out, and it will in fact, that the truth will not only come out, but righteousness will prevail in our nation and in our state. And I don't want to leave out the important fact of the possibility, I believe very strongly, that voter fraud has been committed on a national level and voter fraud has been committed on a state level. And I believe that the outcomes of both of those, the finding the truth, dealing with the matters as they really have occurred, that we would be able to make right the wrongs, and that our nation will go forward and North Carolina will go forward. I believe that voter fraud has happened on a massive scale to the point that it is attempting to hijack our political process. I believe, now I'm going to say it, no one has said it, but I believe we need to investigate North Carolina and the voting practices in North Carolina, because I believe a number of elections have been influenced by illegal votes, fraudulent votes, ballot harvesting, whatever term you want to use. I believe that those things have occurred in North Carolina. And I believe it has impacted the presidential, the gubernatorial, and other races as well. And I'm praying, and I ask you that you would pray with me, that there would be federal investigations to investigate State Board of Elections here in North Carolina, and the races that have been impacted by that, and certainly the presidential race. Keep praying that the truth will come out. Listen, all I'm asking is for truth, transparency, honesty, and that the facts will be disclosed, and that our vote would have really counted. Because I'm troubled about the fact that someone would fraudulently represent the voting process to the point that it would steal our legitimate votes. And so I'm wanting the truth to prevail. Now, I'm going to give you a couple of articles that begins to show and reveal how the process is to be played out, how possibly. And I listened to a very important article on this past, it may have been last Tuesday. I can't get my date quite right. It might have been, no, it might have been last Tuesday. It's on, if you would go with me to the, first of all, remember that if you want to know more about what we're doing here, you can go to leonthreatt.com, which is our website for the Threatt Report, leonthreatt.com. And if you want to email me, you can go to the threattreport@gmail.com, threattreport@gmail.com. But on our program, standamerica.com, there's I'm a part of the Stand America organization, which is led by Bishop E.W. Jackson, very dear brother and friend and mentor of mine. You can get to that site by going to, as I say, it's standamerica.us, standamerica.us. And when you get there, go to the NAC call, which is National Awakening Coalition. I think it's pronounced National Awakening Coalition call. And on that call, we had a presentation a couple of weeks ago by Jerome Corsi. He gave a really excellent presentation on the process to make right. Actually, it was this past, I'm looking at the date, it was this past Tuesday, the 10th of November, Dr. Jerome Corsi. Go to that website, standamerica.us, go to the NAC call portion and pull up that episode. It's an hour presentation, questions and answers, good information. I'm telling you, it will bring a tremendous amount of insight on how do we correct this process that we find ourselves as a nation, and what is the legal recourse. And he lays out a compelling case on the process, the legality, the constitutionality of our process going forward on a national level. According to him, President Donald Trump will be reelected because he's going to follow a certain legal process to show exactly how this fraudulent voting process have worked out in our nation, and what will ultimately bring about the reelection of Donald Trump. So go to that. It's dated the Tuesday the 10th. It's a wonderful presentation, and I think you're going to be encouraged by it. Also, I get a lot of good information. There is another article that came out this week that lays out a similar case that Dr. Corsi laid out. And if I can mention to you, it's called, let me see if I can give you the website address. But the website is The Law is Clear is the name of the article. And it's the, let's see if I can get the address here. Well, I think the address is here, the website address. I'll post it on our website. If you can go to our website, I have it posted on the website, leonthreatt.com, this article, and it gives a clear path. It says, if our elections are stolen, what is the process? And according to Jerome Corsi and this particular article, that the legislators would actually be the ones who determine the Electoral College vote. I found it to be quite interesting that the process when an election on a national scale is questionable, the Electoral College actually comes from the state legislators. The state legislators are the ones who appoint Electoral College. And if the Electoral College is in question because the vote was compromised, then the legislators themselves will appoint who would become president. In other words, who would get North Carolina's vote to appoint president. And I found it interesting that the state legislators are actually the ones who would do that. And it's constitutionally required that we follow a certain process. And I found it to be quite interesting. So I just want to invite you to go to that article as well. What is the legal process of doing so? And I think you're going to be encouraged by it. One of the statements here from that article is whenever any state has held an election for the purpose of choosing electors and has failed to make a choice on the day prescribed, which is the 14th of December, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, the 14th of December this year, the electors may be appointed on the subsequent day in such a matter as the legislature of such state so directs. Man, and I think that's what's happening. I think what's happening on a national scale is that because the election process has been so compromised that we cannot trust it. Now, the Supreme Court, if the cases go to the Supreme Court, what Jerome Corsi and this article is saying is that actually the Supreme Court will say the legislators are to appoint their electors. And then each one will then send their vote and determine who would get their vote versus the electoral process. In other words, we voted for, and then from there, the Electoral College determines the vote. So in other words, it'll go to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court will send it back and say the state legislators will be the one to appoint, and the legislators will then appoint their Electoral College. And from there, we determine who the president would be. Isn't that interesting? And this is actually laid out in the Constitution. Interesting. So it's pretty clear that the founding leaders of our republic actually knew that there could be a challenge to our system, and they put in certain things to protect the process. In fact, it's called the Electoral Count Act of 1887. It was amended in 1948 to bring greater clarity. And the dates are clear. It says the Monday after the second Wednesday of December, on that day, which this year is December the 14th, the chosen electors will assemble in each state and formally cast their votes. So we'll know by December the 14th because it's constitutionally required. And the courts are going to hear it, and I guarantee it's going to work out this process. So keep praying that righteousness will prevail. Now listen to me. You've heard me say this before. This particular election, like no other election in our lifetime, is so clear and so beyond traditional politics. What this election is about, first and foremost for me, and I believe nationally, this election is really about the protection of the preborn, first and foremost. I will not get away from that, and I'll not let anyone play politics. Someone said recently, he says that the left says that this is about when we talk about 65 million children terminated through abortion, they says, that's just numbers and stats. And we don't want to talk about numbers and stats. When did human life become just about stats and numbers? No, it's not about numbers. It's not about stats. It's about human life. And we have a responsibility to end the genocide that's perpetrated against the preborn. It's not numbers and stats, it's human beings. This election is about human beings. First and foremost, the presidential and the gubernatorial is about the preservation, the protection of the preborn. I'm still appalled by the mere notion that we would be debating about protecting innocent preborn life. The gubernatorial or the governor's race here in North Carolina between Dan Forrest and Roy Cooper was not about Democrat and Republican. It was about who would protect the preborn. And I'm challenged and troubled that the North Carolinians voted Mr. Cooper back into office. I believe that something's wrong with this. Did we really do that again when it was so clear that Lieutenant Governor Dan Forrest would protect the preborn of our state? And did we really, as a state, vote Mr. Cooper back in, who made it his mission? He vetoed the Born Alive abortion bill, meaning if a child survived an abortion, we provide medical care. He vetoed that at the state level. And we voted him back into office. I think we need to challenge and check and verify that we really made that mistake, or was the votes stolen and compromised to our electoral process was actually at work there. Something underhanded. I cannot believe North Carolinians would make that mistake. And the presidential race, it's first and foremost about who would protect the innocent preborn, whether Mr. Biden or whether Donald Trump. President Trump has shown himself to be the most pro-life president in our lifetime. He has passed more executive orders and helped protect the preborn more than any president we've had in known history. Pro-life. And did we really vote in a Biden-Harris who would take and commit to taking the preborn's life like never before? Could we be so blind as a state, as a nation? I pray not. So what is this election about? It's about the preborn. It's about traditional values, traditional marriage. The Biden-Harris team has made it real clear. The Cooper regime has made it very clear that they don't value traditional values, traditional marriage between one man and one woman. This election is about parental choice when it comes to educating your children. I just saw an article the other day that the major metropolitan cities here in North Carolina are reintroducing the conversation of the SOGI laws. SOGI laws are sexual orientation, gender identity laws, where they would implement their intent to bring boys and girls into one locker room, one bathroom. Remember, we had House Bill 2 here in North Carolina that says, no, we separate bathrooms and showers by biological gender. House Bill 2. It prevented that. Well, the pressure from the lying liberal demonic left pushed that agenda to the point that our legislators compromised and gave it a period of time where they could reinstitute or reissue the SOGI laws. And now it's coming back, boys and girls in one shower. Oh, we are fighting. That's what this election has been about. Ending that madness. That's insane. Can't have boys and girls in the same bathroom. The election is about school choice, educating your children, keeping boys and girls separated biologically in showers in schools. It's about children and family safety. That's what this election period's about. It's about what kind of America will we have? It's what kind of state will we live in? One with common sense, one with traditional values, marriage. It's about common sense. It's about values, biblical values. The very things we talk about here on the Threatt Report. So please keep praying. Keep praying. Keep praying. I can't believe that God is done with America. I said this on last week's program. If a Biden-Harris team somehow gains control over America, I don't believe there's any more hope for America because they're committed to socialism and communism. We've been saying this for months. And somehow we find ourselves in this battle, whether who will lead our nation, who will lead North Carolina. If we don't win this battle, we've lost it all. We at least have lost the republic. But let me make this real clear. I don't believe by any means that God's done with his plans and purposes. Therefore, the kingdom still stands. No matter if we lose the republic, we lose the nation, we lose the state, the kingdom of God is still in place. So I'm encouraged, no matter what I see, our king still reigns. Yes, so I stand firm on the promises of God. I stand firm on the reality that Jesus Christ is still Lord. And I believe he still has a purpose for this great nation called America. And yes, the state of North Carolina. So we got to fight. We got to pray. We got to stand. I want to encourage you to become informed on the issues. Keep praying accordingly, because this is not about personality. It's about principles. It's about values. It's about policies. It's about righteousness. That's what this is about. So keep standing. Be encouraged. Don't faint. Let me give you a scripture before I leave. I was reminded about this verse earlier. Need glasses. And and I think all of you know this, but it's in Ephesians, the 6th chapter. And look at, let's get the book first. Ephesians 6th chapter. And let's look at verse 12, but let's go up a few verses. Verse 10 says, finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord in the power of his might. So I want to remind you to be strong in the Lord in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. That's what we're dealing with. That you might be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. So clothe yourself with the righteousness and the armor of God. Look at verse 12 as we finish. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood. We're dealing with demonic principalities. We're dealing with the forces of darkness. We wrestle not against flesh and blood. My battle is not against the blue team. It's not against Democrats. It's not against liberals. It's not against progressives. It's against principalities and powers and rulers of darkness of this world and against spiritual wickedness in high places. That's your battle. It says, wherefore take upon you the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all to stand, stand therefore. So be encouraged, stand your ground, fight the good fight of faith, keep believing God, keep declaring the word and the will of God over our nation, over our state, over our president, over the things that we know God has ordained for all of us. And I'm confident that we will prevail. Righteousness will prevail, and Jesus Christ and his word will prevail in this hour. No matter what you see, stand firm until the end. I'll talk with you next week on the Threatt Report. God bless you.